plan to carry out all the fun activities here on campus. Also, for full disclosure, this is a mental health event. I have anxiety, so if I seem nervous up here, it's because I am nervous up here. So mental health has been a huge part of my life, and Bell Let's Talk Day holds a very special place in my heart. During Bell Let's Talk Day in 2014, I was in grade 10 at the time. I watched all the interviews and TV specials from the common room of a hospital inpatient mental health unit. When visiting hours approached, my parents greeted me, and they gave me my phone to contact friends and see how widespread the Let's Talk campaign really was. And as I scrolled and scrolled through Twitter and Instagram, I was met with a strangely bittersweet feeling. I felt so happy to see how many people were involved by posting their own stories, sharing statistics, and advocates sharing that they always have an open ear and a shoulder to lean on if needed. I felt empowered by watching Howie Mandel, Clara Hughes, and Michael Landsberg on a public platform showing the world that anyone can be impacted by mental illness. These are examples of how people who struggle with their mental health can be successful and lead amazing lives. At that time in my life, this was hard for me to believe. While Bell Let's Talk Day is amazing and gives recognition and importance to the discussion of mental health, I was also met with a feeling of sadness. Sadness of knowing that after today, the conversation would stop until next year's event. Sadness knowing that people who share their stories may be silenced. Sadness knowing that people may forget the prevalence of mental illness and that the compassion would dwindle. And yes, these thoughts may have been a byproduct of the depression, but day to day I felt alone because no one I knew was talking about mental health. It wasn't until over 2 years later that I began to slowly share my story with my friends and family. And it wasn't until last year that I found my courage and my voice and became a true advocate for mental health by doing this on a larger scale. My story starts in my first year of high school. In grade 9, I had my first boyfriend, which is typically a very exciting event in any teenager's life. But weirdly enough, as soon as I started dating, I got hit with a terrible flu. I was homesick for about a week. I would be throwing up every morning, and I couldn't get myself out the door because I was so ill. When my flu never fully went away, it was very slowly that it became clear that my physical body wasn't sick, but my mind was sick with anxiety. This was the first time that my family and I began to realize that my anxiety was having a significant impact on my life. And the rest of high school was tough for me, to say the least. Most days leaving the house was a huge struggle. I would try and fail over and over just to last a full day at school. I remember driving to school with a bucket between my legs, throwing up due to my anxiety, but I was told, and deep down I knew it myself, you need to get to school. I missed a lot of school, and on the days when I could get myself out of the house and through the front doors of my school, it was rarely a pretty sight. Sometimes I could swear I'd see more of the bathroom than the classroom. I was always escaping there when I became overwhelmed and terrified, sometimes multiple times per class, throwing up into the toilets, having panic attacks in the stalls so that no one would see me. I would have at least one panic attack a day, and at my worst maybe 3 or 4, sometimes which lasted a couple hours. And if you've experienced a panic attack, you can imagine that these attacks had quite an impact on my physical body. I had popped out ribs, pulled all the ligaments down my spine, I got migraines and heart palpitations, and I lost my appetite for a long time, which made eating a serious struggle, and that's just to name a few. So during my time in high school, I was admitted to the hospital 4 times, all very scary for me at my age. When I started to feel trapped in the anxiety, I felt hopeless looking at my future. And that's when my depression decided to join the party. I suffered from self-harm and terrifying suicidal thoughts for years. I went through over 6 medication changes before I realized that there's no magic pill that'll help me cure my anxiety and depression. After being diagnosed with social and generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, major depressive disorder, and a school-specific phobia, the doctors finally realized that sending me back to school was not going to work. So I then enrolled in the hospital's day program for 3 months. I was working on high school credits while working my butt off to improve my functioning. When I was in the day program, I distinctly remember one of my friends filling out his disability forms for the government. In that moment, and in that time in my life, I believed a lot of things to be true. I believed that I might not graduate high school, and that if I did, I would be years behind my friends. I believed that I would never make it to post-secondary school. I believed, like my friend, I too would need to fill out these same forms, unable to function well enough to maintain a job. I believed that I was broken, and because of this, no one would ever love me, and I'd never be able to handle a relationship. I believed I would always live with my parents, and I believed that my life had stopped while everyone around me kept moving forward. I have never been so grateful in my entire life to be so wrong. I finished that day program, and I returned to high school. I graduated with honors and with my class. I commuted to Toronto for a year and completed a one-year college program. In my first year of university here, I became Trent Durham's first-year director on the board of directors. And now in my second year of university, I'm working in the Trent Durham Student Association, helping to bring mental health awareness to our school in a new and exciting way. I will be going into my 4th summer of successfully working a full-time summer job, which I love, and I found supports that are extremely valuable to me, such as Durham Mental Health Services that we have here today. I found a partner that loves me and supports me like none other. I've lived in a residence away from home and now live in a house with friends. I've made amazing friendships with people who are so open-minded and understanding of any issues I may have. These friends support me and root for me with anything I do. Friends who are understanding of mental health and choose to accept you for you are out there. It just may take some time to find them. Now, I didn't just wake up one day exuding positivity and suddenly feeling better. Unfortunately, there was no magic pill or therapy or fairy dust that made my mental health improve. I got to this point by not giving up and working my butt off even when it was the last thing I wanted to do. The only person who can truly make a change in your mental health journey is you. Real change finally began to happen when I took full responsibility for my own recovery. Recovery is not a straight line, and it can be very unpredictable, and there will always be setbacks with huge ups and downs, but that's okay. After finding my role here at the school, I decided that I wanted to do something on campus to bring more awareness and discussion to mental health. This is what started the Bell Let's Talk week of events last year. The events were small but mighty, which is my phrase for today, and I was blown away by the amount of support we received and by the number of people that were so glad to see mental health advocacy here on campus. I had several people last year approach me just to share their personal stories, mental health struggles and journeys, and in return I did the same thing. I found it so fascinating how each time I tell my story, it would often be met with a response of, "Really? You went through that? I had no idea. You seem so put together." And this made me realize that if I didn't speak up about my mental health journey, no one would ever know. And as I said before, growing up, I wish that more people were talking about their mental health and making it a more natural thing to discuss with others rather than hiding it. I'm now at a place in my life where I'm comfortable and I'm confident enough to share my story. So I decided, why not become the person I was looking for so many years? So, if you feel like I used to feel on Bell Let's Talk Day, guilty for not having the courage in that moment to share your experience with mental health, or feeling sad that this overwhelming mental health positivity will slow down after this week, your time will come. When you feel ready, and only once you feel ready, I encourage you to share your story and spread the message that mental health matters. As each of us comes to the point in our stories where we are ready to share, this simple act of talking about mental health has the power to end a stigma. And if we all band together to normalize mental illness, the stigma will start to disappear, and we can make that happen. So now, if you are not yet aware, our activities on campus today and this whole week are fundraising for Durham Mental Health Services, an amazing service in our community that provides crisis housing, community support groups, and many other amazing services. I have benefited from them greatly, and I absolutely love this charity. So I would like to introduce to you our next speaker, who comes from the Durham Mental Health Services Advocacy Group, VASE, Voices Against Stigma Everywhere. Lori is passionate about fighting stigma and is going to share her story with us, so please give her a warm welcome.